Now, some of you out there are beginning to collect consoles, build your collection. You may get to the point, like I've reached actually quite some time ago, where you want to have all of your consoles hooked up at the same time, or at least as many as possible. So there are a few options for doing that, and there's some things that you need to worry about. Now, I have 17 consoles hooked up all the time, and that's to these two TVs behind me simultaneously, so I can actually play on both at the same time. And of course I have several consoles hooked up to my arcade machine as well. Now, the first thing you need to worry about, and I will stress that you should concern yourself with this, is that if you have all of them plugged in at the same time, you're really going to create some kind of electrical hazard. I don't know if you've taken a look behind an entertainment center like this, but it's really not pretty. So what's the solution to this? Now, there are lots of different things you can do, and the way I've solved the problem is that I have everything plugged into switchable power strips. And they come with these little switches like this, and I've actually taken this off the wall. I normally have this mounted on the wall, so it's just like having another light switch in the room. And what it will do is each power strip, or at least the ones that I have two outlets that are on all the time, and then it has 6 switchable outlets. So what I do is I plug the things that I want to be on all the time, like the TVs and our Mac Mini and our wireless router and the clock and that sort of stuff. Plug those into your permanent on outlets, and then plug all your game systems into the switchable outlets. Now, not only does this eliminate the fire hazard, but it also eliminates all the heat from all those power bricks. So especially during the warmer months, you'll notice a huge difference in the temperature of your room. And this also, believe it or not, actually cut down a little bit on our light bill. I didn't expect it to really happen, but it did. It cut down just a little bit on our electricity usage. So I think the power strips will pay for themselves over time. Now, in addition to having the switchable power strips on my entertainment center, I also have it for the arcade machine and all the the studio monitor speakers, all the different consoles hooked up to it. And I have a third one in the office with all of my music equipment hooked up to it. And they're all set on different channels, so they don't interfere with each other. And so I've just got these 3 extra switches in my house, and it just switches all these things on and off. Now, the next question that you should ask yourself is, how am I going to hook up all of the AV inputs and outputs? So for your newer consoles, for what I've done anyway, is our Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360, and the Sega Dreamcast are hooked directly in through the receiver. And ours is an audio and video receiver. Now, of course, the Dreamcast goes in VGA, and the Xbox 360 is an HDMI, and the Wii is just your standard composite, but we have it hooked into directly into the receiver. Now, for the other consoles, I'll give you sort of a look behind here and see how I've got all these hooked up. But I want to say before I do that, that some of your video receivers will have an option to up convert things to HD. And I would recommend that you try that out and just sort of see what happens, because initially we had all of our systems eventually hooked in to the receiver, and then that sent the signal to the HD TV. And I just didn't like the way it looked when it up converted it. It actually looks better in our situation just to hook the systems directly to the TV. So you may want to try a few different things out and just sort of see what works best for you. So let's take a look behind here, and I'll show you how I've got everything hooked up. Okay, we're back here in the bowels of my entertainment center. You can see it's kind of scary down there. So this is how I have all of my systems hooked up at the same time. I have a series of switches here, and you can see I've got everything labeled. We've got the, I'm not sure if you can read that, but Neo Geo and the NES. We also have the PS1 on this one. I just don't have a label for it. And then we also have the N64, the GameCube, and the Super Nintendo on this second one. And on the third switch we have the Genesis, the Japanese and North American Saturns, and the Master System. Now this is just for all of my composite video connections. Also, sort of further down into the depths here, not sure if I can get a good shot of that. You can see we've got this RF combiner module, and what this does is if you want to hook up multiple systems in that use the RF modulator, if you use a splitter, you can only hook up so many at one time before they start interfering with one another. And so you get sort of a degraded signal. So this way, this thing is powered, and it shields the signals from one another, so you can use these different systems. Now, I have both the RF combiner and all the switches going out to both my high definition TV and then also into a smaller CRT television. So I've got both of those options as well. That's all for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope maybe you found some helpful tips, and thanks for watching.